Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. In today's video, I am going to do a preview for every non-playoff team in the West, as I am going to share my predictions for the 2021 Western Conference standings.
Yeah, ready?
Starting with the Oklahoma City Thunder. Last year, I was actually one of the few people not sleeping on the Thunder, as I predicted they could potentially make the playoffs. However, it does not look like that story is going to repeat itself, because all of OKC's best players are now gone. Fortunately for them, the Thunder still have young rising star Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and it looks like their offense is now going to run through him. But I think there's no way that will be enough for OKC to have the same type of success as they had last season. Next up, we got the Sacramento Kings. The Kings haven't made the playoffs since 2006, and I don't think that is going to change yet. Sacramento might be the capital of California, but they have the worst NBA team of their state. Now, they did come close to making the playoffs in 2019, and they do have some elements such as De'Aaron Fox, Buddy Hield, and Hassan Whiteside that could potentially bring them to the postseason. But, especially considering Sacramento had a pretty bad season, I doubt they are talented enough to compete in a stacked Western Conference. At number 13, we have the San Antonio Spurs. The Spurs are one of the most historical teams ever, and their amazing 22 straight playoff streak finally ended with the 2020 season. They still have possibly one of the greatest coaches of all time, and two good players individually in LaMarcus Aldridge and DeMar DeRozan, but I'm afraid that won't be enough for San Antonio to hope for a spot in the postseason. LaMarcus Aldridge is still a strong contributor, but he is aging and declining. DeRozan is still an all-star caliber player statistically, but he is simply not a good leader enough to carry the Spurs offense on his own. Then we have the Memphis Grizzlies. While a lot of people expected them to finish near the bottom of the Western Conference, the Grizzlies actually nearly made it to the playoffs. They had a very exciting young team, kind of like the 2018-19 Sacramento Kings. The Grizzlies were led by talented rookie Ja Morant, who put on his show every single game, directly having a big impact on his team. Memphis's main rising star is surrounded pretty well too. Ja forms a promising duo with power forward Jaren Jackson Jr. Jonas Valanciunas has been playing great since arriving in Memphis midway through the 2018-19 season. Dillon Brooks has been underrated and productive for the Grizzlies, and Brandon Clark made the all-rookie first team. However, it will be extremely tough to come close to the playoffs like they managed to do this year, with just how much good competition there is in the West. At number 11, we have the New Orleans Pelicans. I hesitated a long time between them and the Memphis Grizzlies, but as you can see, I ended up going with the Pelicans. And the main reason they rank this high is thanks to having the most hyped up prospects in years with Zion Williamson. In the 19 games he played before the bubble, Zion was putting up some great stats for a rookie, showing he could still dominate even in the NBA. However, it already seems like he's kind of injury prone, so the Pelicans need to pray Zion stays healthy if they want to stay in the playoff race. Fortunately, Zion is surrounded by a very solid roster. Brandon Ingram was the NBA's MIP this year, notably being named All-Star for the first time in his career. Lonzo Ball will be there to set up his teammates, and of course sent a bunch of lobs to Zion while also bringing more defensive presence. And JJ Redick and Josh Hart are good complements in the backcourt. Although the Pelicans don't have Drew Holiday and Derrick Favors anymore, they were able to acquire Eric Bledsoe, who scores a solid 15 points per game, as well as getting Steven Adams. Aquaman is a good rebounder and defender, but his fit next to Zion is pretty questionable. Entering the top 10, we find the Minnesota Timberwolves. The Wolves haven't made the playoffs since Jimmy Butler forced his way out of Minnesota, so the reason I still got them this high is because they have to live up to expectations, and in particularly Karl Anthony Towns, who needs to win now that he's finally surrounded by a decent team again. Outside of their franchise player, the Timberwolves also have former All-Star D'Angelo Russell, Anthony Edwards, the #1 overall pick of the 2020 NBA Draft, and some good compliments such as Ricky Rubio, Malik Beasley, or even Jarrett Culver. At number 9, we have the Houston Rockets. We here have the first main ball prediction of the video, with me saying that Houston might actually miss the playoffs. Now, the Rockets still look very good on paper, so I might be completely wrong here. In that case, this will probably be everyone's reaction by the end of the season. But if I end up being right, well...
Psych!
All jokes aside, let me explain why I'm ranking the Rockets this low. Houston finished 4th in the West last season, but they were actually tied for the same record with the 6th-seeded Utah Jazz. And considering the Warriors are coming back, that could then easily drop the Rockets down to the 7th seed. The playoff teams left behind Houston would be the Mavericks and the Blazers, who are both going to be better, while that isn't particularly the Rockets' case. Now, there has of course been some major changes in the Rockets roster, with them notably breaking the Westbrook and Harden duo after just one season, sending Russ to Washington in exchange for John Wall. I personally like John Wall and he was a good leader for the Wizards, but are we even sure he's a better fit in Houston than Westbrook was? I mean, they are both more of ball-dominant players that aren't good shooters and that rely on speed and athleticism to get to the rim. There has been some other changes, with them trading away Robert Covington and signing both DeMarcus Cousins and Christian Wood. The problems are that we're not sure if Cousins can stay consistent after all his injuries, and while Christian Wood is very underrated, he isn't a game changer on a team hoping to compete for a championship. And on top of all of that, the franchise player James Harden does not seem to take things seriously. Well, that's it for this video. Thanks a lot for watching and make sure to go check out the preview for all the playoff teams.